Hello and welcome back to the Midnight Pop Culture podcast. Today we are joined by a very special guest, the very talented James FitzGerald. Hello, James.
Hello.
He is a very talented actor who's performed in all the major theatres in Pittsburgh, and he's also the recipient of 2 Joseph Jefferson Awards, including Best Supporting Actor, a Jeff Citation for Best Actor, and an OE Award nomination for the Best Supporting Actor. He was also named Performer of the Year in 2016 by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I became aware of James through the two of the best short films I've seen in the last few years, Echo Torch and of course 096, in which he played the morally questionable Dr. Daniels. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, James.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Now, first question. This is a simple and quite a silly question. Do you have some sort of British heritage by any chance?
My parents are Irish, actually.
Right.
Irish.
Right.
Through my career, I've done a lot of dialect-heavy shows.
Right.
So the dialects come in handy, and working around, I worked in an English pub for years and years and years. So you would get young actors come in and try out their dialect.
Right.
And of course, they always kind of failed, because all the owners were English. So they all had, could spot it immediately.
Yeah.
But for me, it was worth developing a facility with English dialects because they write such good plays.
Oh, thank you.
Good plays,
The reason I say that is because when I watched 096 for the first time, I was amazed because whenever I watch something that affects me in such a way like that did, I always have to try and investigate and find out everything there is to know about the film. And my jaw hit the floor when I found out you live in Pittsburgh, because your English accent is so spot on when there are still Hollywood actors who, not to name any names, although I might do in a minute, who still can't get it right. And I think that is, very, very, very impressive.
Well, thank you. And Pittsburgh was is the last kind of stop, or the stop for the moment, because I was in Chicago for many, many years, and then in New York, and then now Pittsburgh, of all places.
Oh, fair enough. Next question would probably have to be, how long have you been in the acting profession? And is it something you want to do for the rest of your life?
Probably about going on about 30 years now. And yes, because I'm not really qualified for anything else after doing it for so long. I mean, going into an office building, I don't even know what they do in there.
Right.
I would have no clue. I'm highly unqualified.
Fair enough.
Although as an actor, you develop other skills.
you got to be proficient in those skills. Can't just act. That's the thing.
Well, it's a lot of it, little side opportunities. Teaching lawyers how to speak in public.
Yeah.
In front of the courtroom, how to construct an argument. How to concisely write something. So all of those actor kind of skills can be used in many, many different ways. Organizationally, that can be helpful. You see a lot of stage managers who, God love them, they're so organized. That's applicable across the board.
Yeah.
Time management, and helping other people lose an accent that they might not find useful in a business setting.
Right.
That's helpful too.
So speaking of you being in the acting profession for so long, I imagine you have had plenty of roles that might have meant more to you than others. What would you say were your absolutely favorite roles that you've ever played?
Oh, wow. I mean, any actor will say immediately all of them, because every opportunity you get to work on a play, to work on a character, is totally new. It's totally exciting. Yes, there have been some bad ones, of course, that were, shall I say, not as successful. That
Right.
one, because of timing. Maybe you don't have the life experience or technical skill to really do it,
Right.
But there have been a few roles that stand out. Some Shakespeare roles I've done. A couple of years ago, I was fortunate to play Shylock, and that was quite a highlight. That was very successful. And also, of all things, Fagin.
Fagin, what, Oliver?
An adaptation of Oliver Twist.
I bet that was so fun to enact. I think Fagin is probably my favourite character in Oliver. And
he's a
he's amazing.
fascinating character, and very, very dark. This wasn't the happy musical version.
Oh no, it's the much deeper one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was quite a remarkable experience to go through that.
Do you use a particular practitioner to embody your role of a character?
Personal? Oh my.
Like, do you use more teachings from Stanislavski or Uta Hagen or something?
No, I think, honestly, with every new project, and I'm sure Joseph as an actor, you know this, and Josh, I'm sure, are you an actor as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm currently studying acting for film at Chichester, so yeah.
Great. Every project, it's no matter how much experience you have, it's standing on the edge of the cliff. And you teeter forward, and you rely on your technique and your skills, and you develop new ones. But each one, you grab what you can use. If you're trained in Stanislavski, which, certainly I was, but you use what you can. You grab bits and use what's most effective for you to create this character. I don't think there's one particular method that can cover.
Don't you?
Yeah, you have to, and through that, I mean, expose yourself to all of them and dabble in all of them, because there might be something you can use for this project. Because they're all different.
Yeah.
So whatever, how many amount of keys are on your ring. Which one will unpick this lock? Oh, I'll try this one. Oh, I'll try the next one. And you finally crack it.
Just a lot of experimentation then.
I think so. I think as you develop as an actor through your career, you develop your own technique, which is usually a mishmash of a bunch of others. And watching good actors work. I learned so much from that early on. I was doing a lot of Shakespeare with Chicago Shakespeare Theater when they started to grow exponentially. Playing smaller parts, but watching these brilliant actors every night and watching them thinking, how are they doing what they're doing? How does it change from each performance? What's subtly different? And you learn from them.
I imagine it's, well, I mean, obviously, because I've been in a few plays, but it is astounding when you're either waiting in the wings as the chorus, or you're on stage at the back, and you see them acting out either an emotional scene or a happy scene, and you're just sort of stood there thinking, wow, they were really good, and they were definitely picked well for the role.
Yes, and my advice to actors when I'm teaching, certainly, steal.
Yeah.
Steal away. You watch, for example, Alan Rickman in a play or in a film, and you go, wow, that line, that whatever he did, that gesture, whatever he did, where I knew exactly what was going on in this character's head, in this moment, steal away. Someday you'll use it. And it won't be an imitation, it'll be yours.
You just take your own sort of twist in the end, don't you?
I'm sorry?
You just sort of take your sort of your own twist on the end after you've learned the mishmash, haven't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Theater has always been an apprenticeship business.
Yeah.
You know, you would, back in the day, in the 1800s, you know, before Stanislavski came out, you would literally run off and join the circus, basically. And you would learn from older actors and how they did it. So you would steal their good stuff and come up with your own good stuff. And then someone will steal from you. And that's okay. It's a plagiarism of the best sort.
The best way you can put it, anyway.
Yes. Have there actually been any roles? These can be like a particular role you haven't gotten yet, or that a type of role that you would really like to try.
Oh, a bunch. I think every actor has their dream wish list. God, I would love to climb that mountain. I would love to, you know. There's something about timing, you know. By the time you get the skill and the experience through life or work experience and new techniques that you develop, now I'm too old for the role. So timing can be a part of that. You know, there are roles I would love to have played when I was younger, but I know how to do it now.
Right.
You know, I did Romeo years ago. I would love to do it again, knowing what I know now. I would have been much better at it. You know, there's a lovely show I saw maybe 10 years ago with Kevin Kline and Meryl Streep playing Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
And they were brilliant. I mean, way too old, but nowadays. But they were at the height of their powers. And it was riveting to listen to. It was a staged reading. Just riveting because they knew how to do it, you know, and make it work, you know. Which, in theatrical tradition, people were playing Romeo and Juliet well into their 60s. And that was totally acceptable, you know. So it's kind of a funny thing. You know, we all have our, woulda, shoulda, couldas. You know, wish I grabbed that when I was, or got a chance to do it. You know?
And I mean, Romeo and Juliet has had so many different interpretations over the years. It's almost a story that you can almost take into any period throughout history. You can take it to...
That's the great thing about Shakespeare and all classical, like what we consider classical theater. They're called classical, in my opinion, classical theater. It's not because they're old and stodgy. It's because they were true for their time and true for all time.
Yes.
And I'm stealing that from one of my favorite directors. So this is one of his, I'm quoting him, Alan Stanford, who's a brilliant director. And, you know, you would know him from Irish television, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's done quite a lot at the Gate, mostly, theater and TV and film and all of that. So, but that's one of his quotes, and I think it's absolutely right. You know, they're true for their time, but true for all time.
Yeah, Shakespeare very much wrote stories that apply today.
Absolutely, and you can set them anywhere. You
absolutely. Yeah.
Costume them in any period of history, and it will still work.
I remember a few years ago they managed to do an animated adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, but it was with garden gnomes.
Oh God,
Oops.
Okay, that's a bold choice.
Bold choice.
Very bold choice.
But that just goes to show, though, how you can adapt it in any way, shape, or form, and it will still capture its original meaning. Like, even as far-fetched as it gets, like, you can put it into whatever sort of scenario or time period you want. Like, say, you wanted to adapt it to, I don't know, the suffragettes movement or to modern day. You can do anything, and it will still stay the same.
Pretty much, because the themes and the moments and the dilemmas are universal.
Yeah.
The dressing, it may inform to an audience another ramification or a ripple effect. You know, you could do Julius Caesar modern day, and it will have a commentary on the current political situation.
Yeah.
You know, it will ripple through, and that's another statement to be made. You know, rightly or wrongly. You know, it's that particular production in this particular moment.
Right. And speaking of timeless stories, I thought when you introduced me to your short film Echo Torch, I actually thought that was
shameless self-promotion on my part.
Yeah, but I was very grateful for it because I thought that was a fantastic short film.
It is.
And it managed to say so much with no dialogue and so much emotion with no dialogue in particular.
Yeah.
And it was at first I went into it thinking, is this going to be a completely scary film? But I actually left after watching it and just kind of sort of thinking about how it sort of moved me in a way. How did you become involved in that project?
Well, it's interesting. The director and writer and producer Chris Pretzka is a local Pittsburgh fellow who's wildly talented, and he put this story together. And I don't want to give too much away for your audience because they should look at it.
Oh yes, of course, yes.
Right.
He was so creative, such a creative eye, and very clever, and assembled this crew. A fellow named Mr. Pope, who was the cinematographer and lead cameraman, just remarkable stuff. And it was literally, like most actors, kind of a straight audition, you know.
Right.
Which was kind of odd because there is no dialogue. And in the shooting of it, he said, well, you're going to see things, but you won't see anything because that's done in post. That's all going to be created later. So how would you react if you saw a bunch of ghost fish? Okay. So it was challenging. It was quite challenging, but we got along very well. And it was the coldest cold snap in Pittsburgh at the time we were filming.
Right.
And we were filming in an abandoned building. So I never actually saw the crew ever because they were so bundled up with scarves. All I saw were their eyes.
You're right. I imagine that would almost help with your performance, though, in a way.
Except for the uncontrollable shivering, yes.
Yes.
But it was great having to imagine what I was seeing before I had any idea of what it would look like.
Right.
And I think as an editor, Chris did an astounding job. Astounding job.
It was brilliant. So you say there was nothing there. I remember Sam Neill, when he talked about being in Jurassic Park, he mentioned that Steven Spielberg had a tennis ball on a stick. Was there anything like that used in the short film?
Not even that.
So you were literally just looking at air.
Pretty much, yeah. An empty room.
Right.
Even more props to you then.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I say even more props to you then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that much,
But even
Especially,
still, though, you gotta think of like you've obviously got to think of a certain place where one of the fish are, and then you got to look another place where they're moving maybe slightly differently, and you still got to paint that picture in your head, whilst obviously there's nothing there.
And it's a different technique working for that kind of film than stage, certainly,
right.
because you pick where your eyes go.
Yeah, it's the drama, the clock of drama or something it's called, isn't it?
Right. And you have to be consistent for multiple takes. So you have to do it exactly right. Hit your mark. Here's where I'm looking. Here's my gesture. Every time. So
right.
It's another level of discipline that you don't really have on stage because you have other people there.
Yeah. And so I can only imagine how funny of a direction that must have been, being told that you're surrounded by ghost fish.
Yes. Okay, here's the ghost. Well, I don't want to give too much away, but here's the ghost. She's putting her hand out. Okay, you see her. Okay. And he's kind of talking through the sort of scene. It was very much literally a silent film.
It was, yes.
20s, So you're kind of being side coached about what's going on.
Yes.
For rehearsal. Okay, well, now we're going to shoot it, and I'm not going to talk. Okay, I hope I remember.
In fact, it felt even more silent than the original Nosferatu.
Really? Yeah.
Because there, the characters actually spoke. I mean, you can hear it, but there was not even a word from your character. So
no, and I thought that was quite fascinating that he decided to write it that way.
Yes.
That it was all just silent. So
it also saves money on subtitles as well.
Good point.
I mean, you could put it in a more constructive way by saying it allows the actor to display more emotion through their facial expressions rather than words. So.
Well, he never gave that direction. Actually, he never told me how to react. He would describe the action that I was witnessing, but he never actually gave me a note or a direction about how do I convey what I'm thinking,
right,
or what I'm feeling, or any of that. I think he trusted me to do that.
Yes,
which was quite lovely.
Yes, and there is a particular scene in that film which I won't go into too much detail about because I don't want to spoil it to anyone listening. But let's just say your character hears I suppose you could describe it as either a scream or a roar. And that actually, I'm not an easily scared person, but that genuinely sent shivers down my spine. And
yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So I have to say, you're very good at acting scared.
Well, that's what life will teach you, I think.
Yes.
You're always on the edge, really, of, especially as we all know now,
Right.
And I think it's just, as they teach you in acting school, the sense memory, how do you respond to imaginary stimulus,
Right.
And hours and hours of lessons on that and practice, pretty much,
Yeah.
And then you have to realize, okay, how close am I in frame? Is it too much? Is it not enough? So there's all that other technical stuff in there.
How long did it actually take to film?
My shooting schedule was, I believe, 2 weeks.
Wow.
Remembering back, it was quite short.
Right.
It was a quite short thing because it was only me, really.
Yeah.
And the crew of about maybe 10.
Right.
So it was a very small operation, but he pulled out some magic.
Yes, he really did. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it seems great, isn't it?
Yes, we'll have to supply. Now that we're talking about it so much, I'd love to get him the views on Vimeo and YouTube. So you'll have to send the link.
Yes.
I'll do that
Usually,
yeah. Hang on.
Yeah, usually when I watch a short film and I really enjoy it, I always hope there's some sort of follow-up. But in this case, I think if there was, might destroy what Echo Torch is, which is a singular story. It almost struck me as somewhat like a fairy tale in a way. Like you wouldn't ask for a sequel to Red Riding Hood, would you?
Right. No, I think you're absolutely right. It was originally, from what I understand, part of a much longer, full-length endeavor.
Right.
And he pared it down to this little gem, little jewel box.
Yes.
So, which I found that must be heartbreaking. You wrote this full-length, 2-hour opus, but to pare it down, I think putting it under that sort of pressure made it a little better.
Yes, a blessing in disguise.
The collapse of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but speaking of short films that do require follow-ups, I am eagerly awaiting some sort of follow-up to 096. Have you been approached about that at all? And well, even if you have, you probably can't say. But
well, I don't know if that's going to happen. Certainly now, in the situation we're all in.
Yeah, of course.
Because everything's shut down. But I don't know. I think Mr. Clay, it took a lot out of him.
Yes.
Because yet again, another small production, and he did such a lot of work. I was really surprised by the response, to be honest. I didn't know there was such an SCP community out there.
Yes.
I had no idea. But on doing some research about it, wow, there's a bunch.
Yes. And if anyone doesn't know, it is basically a large community of, well, it's a large creative writing community where they basically just they come up with the most strange ideas of things that never would exist, but in this case they do. And there's this whole thing about a corporation that keeps them contained. And one of the most popular ones is 096, which is a creature whose face cannot be seen unless you want to lose yours.
Yes.
And your character, Dr. Daniels, was one of the scientists in charge of containing him, or it. But again, I don't want to spoil the entire film, but there is more to Dr. Daniels than just being a regular scientist. And a lot of that is sort of left under the surface.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, I assume you were aware of his true intentions before you shot your scenes?
Well, when I was cast, I went into what was originally, I believe, a Reddit community,
right,
of writers, and read all the stuff about it, and yeah, I kind of knew the ultimate twist.
Yes.
At the end. Without giving yet again too much away. But a fascinating character, nonetheless.
Yes, very fascinating.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
Well, even in that shooting, yet again a very small time frame, and we kind of decided as we went along how to do it, how to play it. So I came in with my ideas, and there wasn't a lot of discussion going on. We just did it.
I see.
Was that good for the sort of for getting into the mindset of your character then to sort of just be thrown into that situation.
Yes, and I did my research and went through the script and, thought, oh, how am I going to play this? What are the bits I want to hit? But a lot of that too is up to the cameraman, the editor, and the director. Right. which ones they will choose.
Yeah.
So you just kind of go in and go, okay, I'm going to do my whatever I do with this character, and then let it go. They're going to pick and choose what they want to show and be understood.
Yes. And you should feel very proud of your part in that film, because in the comment section under the video, most of them are all about how much they loved your performance.
Oh,
so
that's awfully flattering.
Yes,
I did when it first came out. I did read a couple, and they said, "What's up with this guy? He keeps taking on and off his glasses." And I so wanted to comment saying it's called editing, but I didn't.
Yes.
Because the audience sees what they see. Why? If you got it, you got it. If you didn't, you didn't. It's out of
right.
hands,
I mean, I watched that film multiple times, and I never noticed that. But
I also wanted to be vindictive or nasty and say it was a character choice. Damn it.
Well, it is a good way though to show emotion, to take off your glasses, whether you're distressed or
nervousness,
or ulterior motives.
In that scenario, props are your best friend.
Exactly.
As an actor.
And the eyes are the window to the soul as well. So
absolutely,
putting the glasses on,
especially in that kind of a close-up.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not used to it, you're doing a scene or you're in the middle of something, and suddenly out of the corner of your eye, a camera on a dolly will come right up to your face.
Yeah, you have to sort of like.
And you cannot flinch. You cannot go, oh my God, what was that? So that kind of concentration you have to have to ignore everything else around you, the chaos around you.
Were there any points when you were shooting where they came up for a really tight close-up and you wanted so desperately to sort of move your body a bit more, but obviously you had to stay in frame?
Oh goodness, yes.
Yeah. I find that quite hard when I'm on camera at the minute. There's some moments where I can stay perfectly in frame, and then there's a certain emotion I want to convey, and I might accidentally move out too fast or too far.
Right, and suddenly you're out of focus.
Yeah.
They call it back again, and that happens. It happens in the heat of the moment, and I think it's expected. But part of the actor's job is to quell that. To be aware of where the camera is.
Right.
Blot it out.
Yes.
So it's like your brain is carved into 3 sections. Even on stage, you're in your own brain. You're also aware of the audience, or, for example, the camera, how they're reacting. Is this landing? So you can change what you do on stage. Oh, I need to make this land a bit more. And you're also aware of everybody else on stage, where they are physically, how they're moving, where the bloody furniture is, and backstage. Let alone, oh, I have a cue coming up, my lines, this moment. So you're immersed in it. And yet there's a section of your brain that is objectively detached. So you can craft the performance.
Right.
If that makes sense at all.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. As we were saying about Dr. Daniels, what is your personal opinion on that character? Do you think he's justified? Do you think he's completely in the wrong? Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, sorry, one of my... Sorry about that. A call came through on my phone.
Professional.
Sorry, I didn't know I was going to be called
It
by some
happens.
person I barely know. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, do you think he's morally justified in the grand scheme of things, or do you think he's completely doolally?
I think, and I'm going to go actory. I apologize at the
No,
start.
that's fine.
I think when you play a character, even if, well, objectively, they're totally evil. In their minds, they are absolutely justified.
Yeah.
You have to believe that. If you don't, then it's a wink to the audience. They won't believe you. They won't buy it. So going back to Shakespeare, if you're playing the worst villain, be it Richard III or Aaron the Moor or Iago, in their minds, they are doing the exact right thing for them in this moment.
Right.
It's all they can do. Or they wouldn't do it. I mean, even in real life, people don't do evil things. Not to them. In that moment, it's the only thing they can do.
Yes. Everybody justifies their actions in their head, yes.
Absolutely. A moment later, you can regret it. But in that moment, they're absolutely justified.
Right, yeah, of course. So
I think Dr. Daniels, as much as he tries to hide it, he thinks he's absolutely justified in what he did and caused.
Yes.
Or, in his mind, a greater good.
Yes. I mean, that is a character I really, really want to see again. So I really hope Mr. Clay will make some sort of follow-up.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But then again, it's funding. It's, this was done on Patreon.
Yes.
And it was really remarkable that this evidently YouTube-based SCP community of fans raised all this money to get it done. So I think it was not an aberration, and it happened, but it was remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that is a very, very passionate community. I, in fact, tried to write a SCP character myself once, and I was about 13 at the time, so it didn't go very well, and it was removed.
Revisit it. Do it again.
No, it was a dreadful idea. It was about a telephone box that could eat people. It was awful.
If Doctor Who can do it, you can.
That is true, yes. Very true. But yeah, maybe I will one day. Maybe I'll write something with Dr. Daniels in it.
I'll be there.
But yeah, when playing those sorts of characters, how do you get into that mindset? What the character is doing is wrong, but you also have to completely almost, act as though you are in that way of thinking.
It was interesting in the filming of it, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to play knowing too much at the beginning.
Right.
So that the ending would be more of a surprise. So for people who haven't seen the film yet, and I hope you do, it was literally kind of playing each moment as if I didn't know anything.
Right.
Ask a question. What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Well, I was nowhere near there. I didn't know anything until the very end. So hopefully that was a bit of a surprise.
It was. I was on your character's side all the way through until the very end, and
yeah, and that was important to me, and it became easier to play. The burden of the story suddenly came off me.
Right.
In the playing of it, which was quite helpful.
Yes, I mean it's the sort of film that you can never watch the same as you did the first time, because once you know that, you know it for good.
You look for the clues earlier on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes.
I didn't want that to foreshadow anything else.
Yeah, no winks to the audience.
No giveaways.
I was nowhere to be seen.
I was never there. Who am I? Who are you?
What's an SCP?
I've never heard of this place before. What am I doing with this tag? I don't know.
Exactly, yes.
So that was kind of important to me, is to play it, sequentially that way.
Have there been any roles perhaps you've seen on television or heard on a radio play recently, or a film that have affected you in that sort of way, where you question how you feel about them after you've watched the film?
The first example that jumps to my mind, because I'm such a huge fan of Alan Rickman, was the whole Snape series.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me was the oh my God moment, where you suddenly find out, and in your mind you went back to every other book or film and went, oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't look at Snape ever again and think, oh, he's just the angry teacher, because he's just so much more deeper than that.
I mean, I thought that was the most brilliant manipulation of, not in a bad way, manipulation, but it was the most brilliantly structured performance over how many films? 5 films.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
7. And I thought that was brilliantly calibrated.
Yes. And it gives you yet another reason to go back and watch the other films as well.
Exactly.
And you don't see it, really.
No.
Because he didn't know.
Yeah.
Because the books weren't written yet.
Yeah.
So he couldn't give anything away.
Exactly, yes.
Except unless Rowling gave him a whisper in the ear.
Yes.
But even then, I think, as talented as an actor and skilled, and my God, that voice, I don't think even he could have hidden it. It would have slipped.
He was an absolutely phenomenal actor, and I was genuinely heartbroken when I found out the news. It always happens to the best.
Yeah.
Well, eventually to us all.
Yes.
But
I think
the body of work he left behind is insurmountable.
Yeah, exactly, incredible.
But there are other films, especially films. I'm a huge fan of certainly radio drama. I'm a huge fan of that, because you talk to an audience of one.
Yes.
One ear. And to pull that off, I think is quite remarkable. Yeah. And you have a great voice. You should be doing radio.
Well, thank you.
Radio drama.
Thank you.
You definitely would suit it, Joe.
Well, thank you.
When you do that kind of work, the resonance is all.
Right.
The resonance of it and the communication of it. It's harder acting than on stage.
Yeah. I mean, the audition.
You have no distractions that an audience can look at. Set, costumes, this movement. You have none of that.
Right.
But just a note on radio drama, which I think is going to become much more popular, hopefully, now. Certainly the BBC has never let it go. It's the best way to see a play, because you're hearing it and you're imagining it.
Yeah, you just let the imagination run wild when you hear a great play being told via radio.
Yeah, it's the best way for an audience to see a play, because they're seeing it in their mind's eye.
And they create a face to all of the voices as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why it's so difficult to do, really.
Yeah, my audition early was actually for a voiceover thing.
Oh, great! How did it go?
Yes.
And it went well?
I don't know, because they weren't there. They just asked me to send them certain things.
Right.
They gave me like 10 lines from different films and TV shows to read in different voices and things. And I feel it went all right. But there's only so many times I can look at my wall and pretend it's another person before I start to think I'm going insane. So
the best thing about any audition, whether it's live, recorded, anything else, as long as once you push send or you finish and you walk out of the room, if you can say, yeah, I did the best I could right then. Yeah. I feel good about that. Then let it go. Never walk out of an audition kicking yourself.
Right.
Oh, I should have done that. Oh, I was this, I was that. Even if you were nervous, even if you screwed up or forgot a line or stumbled, it's okay. You learn from that. And auditioning is the hardest, most arbitrary thing in the world. You've got 3 minutes to do your all.
Even harder than actually performing, I imagine.
Absolutely. I'm terrible at it. And I coach it, But if you can walk out of the room, I don't want to say with self-respect, but that's actually a good term. No, I did my job. I did what I needed to do. If it didn't work completely, I know now I have something to work on.
Right.
It gets you out of that bitterness. And it keeps you moving forward as an actor.
Right.
So never kick yourself. You do your work. You did, okay. Self-assess, absolutely. But it's out of your hands.
Right.
After that moment.
Yeah.
Okay, they'll choose me or not, out of my hands. But feel that, okay, I did it. If I didn't come up to a certain level I wanted to, now I have something to work on.
Yeah, you have to look at it as a positive, don't you?
It's got to be a positive, or you will drive yourself insane.
Yeah.
And we all know there's a lot of bitter actors out there, who blame something else for, and nobody needs to go through their life like that. I mean, this business is hard enough.
Yes. I directed a short film starring Josh. How long ago was it now, Josh? About a year ago?
Oh, yeah, like a year and like 3 months ago.
Yeah. And that was for our college course. And I just remember, there was no nervousness in Josh at all. And even though, it was just a college film, I think if I was in his position, even though I want to be an actor as well, could I do as good a job as he did? I don't know.
I'd say if you got into the right mindset, then maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
You'll have to send it to me.
Oh God, no.
Oh God, yes.
No, it's dreadful.
Everything you do adds to your experience. It adds to it.
Yeah.
So every endeavor is worth doing.
Right.
Plus you learn from
you just learn more.
Yeah.
You just learn more. I've been in bad shows and you just learn from them.
Right.
I was a little sideline. I was doing, for example, As You Like It.
Oh, right.
Years and years and years ago. And I was cast as Amiens, the Singing Lord.
Oh,
Sure,
the
whatever.
melancholy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I met a grand group of people, absolutely great people, and we knew the show was terrible. We just knew it. Even though there were wonderful actors in it, it just didn't gel.
Mm.
So
Hello?
during rehearsal...
Sorry, I cut out for a second, then I think something went wrong.
All right, we're all good?
So, yeah, I think we're all good now.
Yeah, cool.
So during rehearsal, the cast, we renamed it Do You Like Us?
Oh, that fits perfectly.
On opening night, in this little garage, black box, crappy theater, after the show, we went out and some woman had left her high-heeled pumps under one of the seats. So we're wondering, how did she get home? Okay. So we renamed the show, Did You Leave These?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And boy, did the reviews show it. But I did meet such a great group of people. And they've all gone on, well, most of them have gone on to do wonderful things. But it's every experience, no matter how awful, you learn something from it as an actor.
And you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
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 So, an abject lesson.
Through this entire interview, I can't stop thinking about there's a particular role I would love to see you play, but there's never going to be a live action adaptation of it, so it'll never happen. But I can't stop thinking about how perfect you would be for it.
Yes.
No.
Well, you can't give me a lead-in like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to say now.
Well, he's a character by the name of Harlan Wade. And he's the father of a daughter and the daughter, as she grows up, it becomes clearer and clearer that she has some sort of gift. Like, she's telepathic in a way. And Harlan is the sort of character who later on in his life, he regrets what he did. But when his daughter was young, he used her gift for profit. And it's a really interesting character arc. But nobody's ever done a live action adaptation. And it's a real shame because I think in my head, you would be perfect for the role.
Is this based on a novel or?
It's based on there is a graphic novel and a series of games that will tell the story. And it's just really, really interesting. And you even look like him, except he has a moustache.
It's Fear, isn't it? The series.
It is Fear,
yeah.
Yes.
Called Fear.
Yes. And yeah, it's a quite heartbreaking story, but I just can't stop thinking about how perfect you'd be for it. And it frustrates me. Maybe I need to start some sort of Patreon myself to get it made.
I will have to
try Kickstart it.
Yeah. God knows how I'd start that, but I would love to do that.
I will have to look this up. And because God knows, as you said, when you asked earlier, will you ever retire and stop doing it? We're always looking for projects.
Right. Yes.
I will look that up because who knows?
I mean, they are apparently working on an adaptation, but it's sort of in, I guess you could say, purgatory, because nobody's said anything about it for a few years now. But it's being written by quite a good writer by the name of Greg Russo.
I'm sure some Hollywood star has locked up the rights.
Probably, but I think you'd be perfect for it.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
And I will give you a secret about Dr. Daniels.
Oh, Dr. Daniels.
Because I know you're an actor, and Josh, you're an actor. That one of the things as an actor, when I go into a role, probably the first thing I think about is how does this character sound? How does he sound? The second thing is, how does he move?
Mm.
You know, and that's one of the keys on the giant key ring that I use.
Yes.
So for Dr. Daniels, he gave me a very limited, like a one sentence character description. He's slightly foreign. I thought, oh, okay. How does this guy sound? And what I said about, and this is secret, this goes nowhere. Oh Christ, we're on a podcast. When I was reading the lines and thinking about it, the one thing I thought of about his sound was John Hurt.
Right.
Now that you say that, I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
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 Huh.
But I wasn't doing an imitation.
No.
It was just that kind of gravelly quality of fear, apprehension, and maybe success.
And you do an amazing job of it.
Yes, very much so.
But that's one of the things I mean about when in doubt, steal away.
Yes. I mean, you could look at it as acting is sort of a business of camaraderie in a way. Like, you can't expect everyone to be their own. Like, you can't expect everybody to just not take from others in a way, because that way people would be hostile towards each other left and right.
Well, absolutely, because I think you have people in the business, especially in film, where they're always the same in every role.
Yes.
They sound the same. They have the same
Dwayne The Rock
mannerisms.
Johnson.
No, but they're always the same.
Yeah.
And that can be a pathway to success, or, oh my God, you're the same as you were in the last one. You know, what's different? What's the spark? What makes this character different? If you're going to be a personality actor, that's great. You'll get work. You know, I know a lot of actors who are leading men and women, but they're always the same.
Right.
The same vocal intonations, the same stuff, but they work a lot.
Yes.
Take an example.
They often
Gary
play
Cooper from the movies from the 30s through the 50s, 60s.
Right.
He was kind of always the same, but that worked for him, and that's great. For me personally, I'd rather mix it up.
Yeah, I imagine it could get quite stale eventually, playing the same type of character over and over again.
Well, it depends on it's what the market will bear.
Yeah.
You know, if people want to see that, that's great. You know, good for you.
Yeah.
You know, I have no ill will about that at all. I'm jealous of it. You know, but for me, it was for this character, Dr. Daniels. I just needed a new voice for him.
Right.
To play him.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
And I would actually argue that in the film 096, Dr. Daniels is probably the protagonist. Because if you think about it, the story revolves around him entirely. He's the protagonist, but also the antagonist, which I think is really interesting and is something should be explored more in fiction in general. But a lot of people, I can understand why there are a lot of people who play the same types of roles over and over again, because a lot of stories have like an everyman or an every woman protagonist, so that the audience can almost insert themselves onto the character in a way. So I can see why those things are so common, but I completely understand what you mean about not wanting to play that type of role over and over again.
Well, for me, it's the hook into the character.
Yes.
You know, how they speak, especially how they move, is an immediate kind of hook into the character I'm playing. For Shylock, it was or Fagin, for example, certainly the dialect. Certainly it added to, okay, here's an immediate hook. I can get into the time period, into what's going on with this guy. You know, the dichotomy of abject cruelty, but abject kindness to the boys and everything else. This image. For Shylock as well, you know, the staccato of his speech, and Shakespeare helps you out a lot with that. Even though it's non-verse, the rhythms of his speaking gives or gave me a key into how to play it. And that was fascinating to delve into, because how we speak is who we are.
Right.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and especially
absolutely.
being from, I'm assuming you're in London.
No, we are just south of London by a few hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But the one thing about the British accent and American, as soon as you open your mouth, I make judgments about your education, where you're from, what your dad does, you know, all of those immediate assumptions.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and that's helpful. You know, that's a key. You know,
speech can be a defining character trait in that way, can't it?
I think it's one of the most defining.
Yeah.
On an initial meeting.
Yes.
You know, we automatically make judgments about that, whether good or ill, or indifferent, you know. But we all make judgments about that.
I mean, I remember when Ian McDermott was cast as Emperor Palpatine. He saw himself in the mirror with all the makeup on, and he said, well, before that, somebody else played the character very briefly, and they played it very straightforward and stern. But Ian, as soon as he saw himself in all the makeup, he just thought, he sort of saw himself as almost looking reptilian.
Yes.
So he built his whole take on the character around that, the voice, the movement, everything, and created one of the most iconic characters in cinema history. And I think you're absolutely right when you say that, because that is a prime example of that being the case.
Because as actors, we're always looking for hooks.
Yes.
Into the character. We're always looking for that. Okay, that's who he is. Okay, I can build on that.
Yes. There has to be something to drive you to want to play the character more.
Yeah. And if that's my first step of the staircase.
Right.
I'll learn more as I go. But that's one of the fundamental, if you can find it as an actor, boy, that's part of the bedrock.
Right.
And then anything else is possible. Anything else is possible. I mean, if Palpatine suddenly spoke nicely, it would be totally acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, but once finding that bedrock there, anything is possible. Like with people. Anything
Yeah.
is possible. Be wary of actors when they get a note from a director or whatever. Oh, my character would never do that. I'm sure you've heard this.
Yeah.
The question is, how do you know? How do you know your character wouldn't do that? Oh, my character would never do that. How do you know? It could be quite exciting.
Sometimes the writer or the director does know best.
Or just go with it.
Yeah.
You know, how do you know? It may not be a note from a director, but how do you know my character wouldn't do that? Maybe people do all the time.
Yeah. People constantly change. There's
moment to moment.
Yeah, we're not the same person all the way through.
Yeah.
And it should be the same for fictional characters as well.
And great writers do that. How do you know?
Yeah.
My character wouldn't do that. Oh, my character would never do that. That's the mark of an inexperienced actor, in my opinion.
Yes.
How do you know? Give it a shot. You might discover something.
I mean,
and
most
God,
of
isn't that exciting for an audience?
Yes.
You know,
through and through, it's character development, isn't it? And most of the best TV shows that have ever been on TV, or like the best radio shows, they have to have those elements, or else nobody will watch or listen from week to week. So,
well, absolutely. You know, a television series, which I have never done, so I don't know anything about that. But if it's good writing, there's always a drop in the character somewhere through it, which advances them.
It can even be something as simple as like the classic hero's journey.
Yeah.
There always has to be something that the audience can invest in to actually enjoy something properly.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, there's a drop of a new thing.
Yes.
That has to be dealt with or informing the audience.
Yes. Absolutely.
The hook. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I have a question here I was meant to ask earlier. What would you say is the play or short film you've been in that absolutely changed your life for the better?
Changed my life for the better. I'm not sure of the parameters of the question. I'm always glad for the work and the people you meet and the connections you make and the experience of it and the opportunity to get better. I think everything I do makes me better.
Right.
I have to figure something out. It makes me better as a craftsman in this business. And I think that's an important word. And it makes me a better actor. But changed my life, you know, not so much changed as, wow, I did that. I know more.
Yeah.
I discovered something in that particular moment of that particular scene that I can use again, or holy shit, that worked.
Yes.
And those moments are rare. Holy shit, that worked. Damn it. I nailed it. You know?
Yeah.
And it's one thing on stage where you can go, damn it, I nailed it. I screwed the rest of the show, but that moment I nailed.
Yeah.
You know, I was just doing I'm in Summer Night's Dream, and there was one moment I knew I nailed it. The same 2 months prior, Woman in Black. I'm sure you know the show.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
One moment out of the entire show, you're going, and that's what you live on.
Yeah.
No one will notice in the audience. They don't care, but there are moments, damn it, I nailed it. One of my best theatrical, if I may digress, one of my best comments from an audience member. I was on a bus in downtown Pittsburgh coming back from a rehearsal, and two middle-aged women came on the bus. Pearls, hats, gloves. It was right out of the 1950s.
Right.
And they were carrying programs from the symphony. It's like, oh, it was a big night out. And they sit in the bus, and I'm going home. And then about 4 stops later, I feel a tap on my shoulder from one of them. And of course you think, are you okay? What's up? And they turned around and said, oh, your name is Mr. FitzGerald. I said, yes. Can I help you? Are you okay? It's like, oh, no. We saw you in the show you last did, which was a John B. Keane play called Sharon's Grave, where I played the big evil monster, basically. Right. Yeah, I was really evil. Anyway, a humpback cripple, wielding knives around. But they said, we saw the show and we really enjoyed your performance. We thought you were lovely. And we wanted to hit you in the head with a shovel.
But it shows how you played a character well, doesn't it?
And I looked at them and said, thank you so much. This is the best compliment I've ever had in my life. Can I see you home? I want to make you dinner and cocktails. It was the best compliment ever. And they were so giggly at the time. They were so giggly.
I suppose playing a villain, the best thing you could possibly get from an audience is for them to hate you in a strange way.
Oh, well, I was kind of amazed by their way of killing me.
Yes.
And their phrasing. They didn't say, oh, we hated you. No, they wanted to hit me in the head.
With a shovel.
With a shovel. Wow. High praise indeed.
Yeah. I mean, that isn't even a nice way to go, is it? I mean,
that just makes me giggle.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. I love that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry for the digression.
No.
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. We just love talking about acting.
Yeah.
I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, we would very much one day, if we ever go back to America, because we were there a few months ago.
Nice.
We would love to actually see you perform live.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where did you visit?
Florida.
Ah.
Yeah, it's the only part of America I've ever been to. But yeah,
interesting part.
Yeah, but we went there in February, so it's freezing cold here at that time. To actually go to a place where it feels like summer again was quite nice.
Yeah, where in Florida?
Well, we visited Universal Studios.
Yeah, so Orlando.
Oh, sure. The whole
Yeah.
Yeah. It was absolutely fantastic. And we got to see the sets behind the scenes, and it was just baffling to me how much work actually goes into creating fiction that people can watch. Because writing in itself is amazing, because you can tell these stories simply with a typewriter or a computer or a pen. But the amount of people that are required to actually make a stage production or a film just to entertain people,
astronomical.
It's absolutely incredible. And it's very, very much a team effort, I would imagine, especially on a stage show, because everybody needs to be doing their best on every night you have to perform. And I think that is something that's just so almost noble about the acting profession in a way, because it really almost brings humans together, if you know what I mean.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in shows, and it's for some productions, it's very hard for people to let them go.
Right.
And I think for me, I mean, yeah, there were shows that, I'm gonna be sad to leave this one because but after a while you have, or for me, you have to say, okay, another one down, what's the next?
Yeah.
And you don't know what the next is, because resting on one's laurels, I think, can be nice, it can be fun, and you remember that. But what's the next?
Yeah.
And the people that you meet, I mean, I still am close friends with people I worked with years ago, because once you get that group bonding because of this massive endeavor, and it's frightening every night at 8:00. It's absolutely frightening. Are we going to pull it off? And everybody is there, You bond with that quite amazingly. It is like, in a way, well, it's not like it at all, but equatable to, being in a battle zone. You bond with these people because you rely on everyone to do their job.
Yeah.
And you bond together in such a way, it's quite hard to describe for the average audience person. Even the guy that runs, or the girl that runs the light board, the one that runs, go, and they just push a button. No, you bond with them.
Yeah.
And, through the generalship of a stage manager, it's run just that way. And I think it's remarkable. And the audience doesn't know, doesn't care, nor should they. They shouldn't know what's going on behind the scenes. That gets away the magic of it.
Yeah, ruins the immersion.
It should just run.
Yeah.
But there are people that, bond together quite closely.
Yeah.
The bond between an actor and their dresser is the closest thing ever.
Yes, I imagine. They might have seen parts of you that even you haven't seen.
Pretty much. Yeah. And you're doing my smalls, so perhaps we're going a little too much in depth for a podcast, but it is quite entertaining and enlightening for the uninitiated.
Yes. But speaking of going from one role to the next and repeating that process, do you keep mementos from each of the roles you've done at all?
Cards. I'll keep some cards.
Right.
The actors, everybody writes cards. I don't, but the actors will write cards to each other, opening night cards. Every once in a while, there might be a prop.
Right.
And I don't steal props. Now, by prop, I mean, I used a notebook. A small notebook.
Yeah.
I'm maybe, can I take this? Do you mind? No, take it. Okay. I did get a lovely gift from Fagin, actually. The customer made me a vest.
Oh, right.
Which is quite, because I was so shabby on the outside, but the design was, it was the most embroidered, beautiful vest underneath the shabbiness of Fagin, which it told about the character.
Yeah.
And she gave me the vest. So I can only wear it on Christmas because it's very red and embroidered and all of that. So but I don't usually keep mementos. Actually, I did a production of Great Expectations.
Right.
And I was playing Wemmick, one of my favorite characters on stage ever. Such a great character. But he used little quilly pens, so we cut down feathers. And I've kept those because it reminds me of the character.
Yeah.
How lovely that character is. But that's about it. I really don't keep mementos. I don't keep posters or that sort of thing.
Right. Do you look at each of your roles as almost like old friends? Occasionally you get to visit once again.
Occasionally. It's nice to... Well, for me, it's... I did that, didn't I? I did that. Good Lord. I wonder if I could do it again. I don't know if I could. Because it's so far in the distance.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, oh my God. Was I good in that? I think I was. I tend to drop away old performances.
Right.
Because revisiting them in certain plays, it's like, I still remember lines from certain plays, but there comes a point where you have to push the mental delete button to free up disk space.
Right.
So I remember moments. I remember, I remember that now. If I search my memory. But to revisit them, there's a few roles I'd like to revisit because I know more.
Yeah.
I know more now. I've done the Scottish play, even though we're not in the theater. I don't have the superstition, but in case anybody knows. 6 times. And there are times I would like to go back and go, I'd like to play that role again. I'd like to revisit that role.
Yeah.
Or that other role. Because I know the play so much better.
Right. Yeah. But speaking of being on stage, over the years you've done it, have there ever been any awkward or embarrassing moments you'd like to enlighten us about?
Oh, good Lord. Welcome to live theater. Shit happens all the time. Can I say shit?
Yes.
We swear as much as you want, man.
Oh, well, fuck that shit.
Yes.
I mean, things happen all the time. I mean, crazy, unexpected, hopefully not dangerous. I mean, there's a couple of instances that were, let us say, bizarre. The first one that comes to mind. How can I tell this story, really? Do you know the play Assassins?
Vaguely.
Okay, I won't use that one then. Do you know the musical Kismet? Very popular. You don't, I know. But this is a good example. Right. This is a great example. So I'm playing the king, the Wazir.
Right.
And there's a scene, and the whole premise of the play is this prisoner has to be brought in the room, thrown down before me, and he has half of an amulet that has to match up to another amulet. The whole play cannot proceed if this guy isn't brought into on stage.
Right.
Can't. So we're doing this at I think a matinee, actually. And suddenly the cue comes. He doesn't appear.
Oh, no.
We have to ad lib. We have to ad lib now. Now, I'm the wazir, the king. There's 30 people on stage with me. I go up to each one of them to kind of make conversation, to cover this lapse, because I made the mistake of pointing to the best actor on stage, improviser, saying, the cue passed, he's not here. I said, you go find him. So this actor left. Now it's dead silence. So I go up to each of the actors and start conversations. So the first guy I go up to, I'll never forget this. So, I heard this camel drop dead in the streets of Baghdad. What do you think? The actor turned to me and said, I don't know. Total flop sweat. I went to each one of them to ask them a made-up question to keep the thing going. None of them answered. So I decided, you know what? You're on your own, and went back on my throne and started reading a newspaper. At the moment, one of the actresses said, I think something terrible has happened backstage. Then the actor came in.
Oh, dear.
He was half dressed. He thought he was done. So he was on the phone. His beard's half off, It was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Trying to improv on stage with people who don't want to play is horrific.
I can imagine. And of course, all the attention was on you. I mean, you're the centerpiece, you're the king.
I'm striding around like I own the place.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks it's my fault. But things like that happen all the time. Guns don't go off. A rubber snake doesn't work. Set pieces don't come in and off, on and off. And it just happens. It's live.
Yeah.
And I think the audience will go with that.
Yeah.
I mean, they certainly did in that instance. I mean, they were giggling away. It was hilarious. But the audience will go with that because it's live. Communal experience.
Yeah.
We know it's live. We know things are going to screw up. And it's fun to see the peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. It reminds them that despite all the showmanship and the awe of watching these actors, is that they are just human as well.
Yeah.
Capable of making mistakes just like anybody else.
Yeah. I think it's lovely. I think it's absolutely, it's part of the experience.
It's one of the charms of theatre in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's live. Things happen. Did I get to I mean, I can imagine, well, hopefully some audience member, I was there when that messed up.
Yeah.
I saw that, I remember another sidelight. I know we're probably running long, but I remember seeing a production of Othello with Christopher Plummer and James Earl Jones. I was very young and in a theater in Boston. And the beginning scene, Rodrigo, and they draw on each other. And Christopher Plummer, as Iago, beats up their swords, to break them up. The sword flew out of this actor's hand, spiraled slowly into the audience. Right? The brilliant guy working the spot kept his light on the sword, so he knew where it landed. It landed, fortunately, hilt first in a woman's lap.
Oof.
By the time it flew out of the actor's hand, Christopher Plummer was off the stage. He jumped down like 8 feet, just missed it, landed in the woman's lap. All the spotlights are on him, on them. And he picked it gently out of her lap, gave her a kiss, and in the Christopher Plummer voice filled the stage. He said, "Are you all right, my dear? I want you to come and see me in my dressing room at intermission. Do you need anything now?" And of course she was giggling and, "Oh my God, Mr. Von Trapp just talked to me." She said, "Are you all right? Do you need it?" "No, I'm fine." He put one hand on the stage, leapt up, continued the scene immediately with the next line. The other 2 actors were like, what? Took them forever to catch up.
Yeah.
It was the most brilliant live thing I've ever seen.
That sounds
absolutely
fantastic,
brilliant. Yeah. It was such a pro. And the show went on. And he was in his maybe 60s at this point. It was amazing to witness, but I was there to see it, And it's one of those moments that when things screw up, the magic of live.
I remember seeing a production of Treasure Island when I was younger. And one of the pirates accidentally threw his sword into the face of another pirate.
Oh my God!
But they both acted like it was supposed to happen, but everybody could tell that it wasn't, because the guy who got hit by the sword, his eyes started watering, and things of that nature, but in a weird way, that made the experience even more memorable than it would have been otherwise. So it was fantastic.
What a great blood effect! How did they do that?
It really seems like he's writhing in pain.
What great acting! Yeah.
It's a shame COVID is almost ruining those sorts of theatre experiences at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we just have to have social. I don't know. Are they doing social distanced theatres at all? I don't.
Well, right now it's just shut down. I mean, people are doing, drive-in theater,
right? Yeah,
which is very strange. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I think theater as we know it or knew it is going to be completely changed. I mean,
right.
The days of, which remember isn't that long ago, a year ago, of getting an audience of 3 or 100 to 1,000 people in a room for a communal experience is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Theater is going to change. And they're trying with Zoom readings or, things that are inadequate, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you just don't get it,
No.
I don't know how theater will adapt. I'm not sure.
Right.
It will, but live theater, I'm really not sure how it will.
It's been around for so long, though, so I imagine they'd either adapt it in some way to keep it going in some form of respect, though.
Oh, I totally agree. I think it's going to be, at least at this point in 2020,
Oh yeah.
it's going to be, instead of a communal endeavor, an individual endeavor.
Mm.
But how do you do the live experience now? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I think even if there is an effective vaccine, it may help.
Yeah.
But I'm actually not sure if it will ever recover. Not the same way. Not the same way.
Mm.
I mean,
crowding into a West End theater was half the fun.
Yeah.
You smell the energy of the room.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're in the gods, or you're in the box, or you're down front. It's not going to be the same.
You're absolutely right. And of course, the experience might be damaged by the fact that the actors on stage might have to be wearing face masks.
Well, that's it too.
Yes.
I mean, which I think is, or a plexiglass shield. Yet another distancing point. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, even if there is a vaccine that's effective, it might help, but honestly, I don't know. I mean, and I mean, people following my generation will never really know what it was like.
Yeah.
In that respect.
Yeah. I remember I saw a theatre production about a year ago. Well, probably nearly 2 years ago now, which was, I can't remember which book it was, but it was of one of Agatha Christie's books. And it was just such a enjoyable experience because we were all laughing together, and it's so much more sociable than sitting at home watching the same story on the television or something. Yeah. And I don't think that form of entertainment is going to go away anytime soon, but I definitely think it's on standby at the moment.
It's totally on standby because there is nothing for people who go to the theater know what they will miss. And honestly, it's a small part of the population. Honestly, I mean, people would rather watch television and movies, but there is a small, hearty theater-going audience. And part of it is that communal event.
Yeah.
You go to see a comedy. Three Governors is a great example. The laughs feed on themselves.
Yeah.
You don't get that shared experience.
Exactly.
And, you're doing a Macbeth. You don't get the same shared, oh my God, we're all watching this at the same time. Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, for example. You don't get that ability to elbow the stranger next to you saying, did you see that? Did you hear that? And that, I think, is the biggest loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
How are you doing in terms of COVID, though? I mean, you said you're still getting work.
Well, we're turning to radio.
Right. Yes, of course. Yeah.
So I start tomorrow on our company starts on a radio version of Christmas Carol.
Oh, yes.
Like everybody else is doing. We just did one of Jekyll and Hyde for October. It's a whole new learning curve because people forgot how to do radio drama. I mean, the BBC does it brilliantly. and still do. But it's a whole different technique, and especially with all the safety concerns.
Yes.
Individual booths. You can't have a mic on a stage and talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's all changed. So I think, doing that, at least it's putting out product for your audience. Yes, we're still alive. We're still doing something.
Yeah.
The company's alive. We're not folding. We're still putting out this entertainment.
Yeah.
I think the next wave, I think will possibly come with an adaptation of 50s television.
Really?
And by that I mean, when TV shows were filmed live.
Yes.
3 camera setups and like bad soap operas, where you can fake the distance by camera angle. It's not going to be, the RSC wants to put something out, so they'll do an archival video of a show they did 5 years ago, which a lot of theater companies are doing, just to keep something coming out,
Yeah.
So I think it might change back to that model, but I don't know.
Which I guess we just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, will we go back when this is all opened up? Knock wood. I wonder, especially in Britain, if we won't go back to the music hall.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I wonder, because it's quick, it's cheap, it's entertaining, it's vaudeville. I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder.
It's just a case of time will tell. Unfortunately, I've run out of questions. Have you got any, Josh?
Oh, I think I ran out of questions like half an hour ago, if I'm honest.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry.
No, I would have said some more, but I was like, I'll let Joe carry on because I can't think of anything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Evidently, I'm not nearly as entertaining.
Yes, no, they're all good questions, though. You are very entertaining, and you have a very satisfying voice to listen to.
Yes.
Well, thank you for inviting me into your podcast.
You're very welcome.
And what is it called? Midnight
Pop Culture.
MidnightPopCulture. Yes.
Pop Culture. How do I find this? Because I'd love to hear your other stuff.
Well, we'll get Joe to send you a link to the channel because it's not very popular at the minute, so it's very hard. It's very hard to sort of find it.
Well, we'll give you a thumbs up and.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've recorded 2 previous podcasts to this one, and we have interviewed another actor. You might not be aware of who he is. His name is Sean Bayshoe. He's been in quite a few products over the years, but yeah, we're thinking we need to interview people who really know what they're talking about and are really passionate about what they do, and specifically in the acting field, because we're both,
aspiring actors.
Very, very interested in acting, yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you keep going at this, I could point you in directions of people who have been doing this a long time, who actually have names.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Oh my God, yes.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Oh my God, thank you so much. It's been so lovely to meet you.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll put you in touch with Alan. He'll do an interview with you. Absolutely. And he's worked with
awesome.
Pinter, Stoppard. He's quite a name.
Yes.
Google him.
Will do. Yes.
Alan Stanford. And he'll do it just for the giggle.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you have any social media you'd like to plug or
advertise? Yeah.
Well, just the two films, I suppose. I mean, I'd rather give them the views. But I just have my Facebook page and all of that. So
yes, that's how I found you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and you're very much welcome to come back on the podcast in the future.
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much, and good luck to both of your careers.
Thank you.
Keep in touch.
Will
do.
Will do.
All right, then.
I haven't heard back about my audition yet. I'm very nervous.
Nah, let it go. Let it go.
I will.
You've got the voice. You can do this.
Thank you. I put my absolute heart into it, and I think it might pay off. You never know.
If your heart into it, there's nothing more you can do, then, is there?
Yeah, exactly. And if it doesn't pay off, like you said, that's another lesson learned.
But you do the next one.
Yes.
You do the next one, and that's all. That's all it is. You know. So don't worry. Don't worry. You both will have careers.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you. It's almost hard to say goodbye because this has been so great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're very kind.
I mean, I've contacted a few actors here and there, and some of them don't even acknowledge that I've contacted them. So thank you so much for thank you for reading the messages and actually agreeing to do this.
Oh my God, thank you for asking. Oh my God. You know, any actor or any professional that just goes, "Who the fuck are you?" and I'm not going to come and not going to contact you back is a fool. Fool. I mean, look at like an actor, all of our business is making contacts.
Yeah.
That's it. And I've got 2 now. So how can that be a bad thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're willing to listen to me, which is incredibly flattering for one thing. But, you know, I mean, how can people, I don't understand how people can do that.
Yeah.
You know?
So. You've got an excellent voice to listen to as well. Maybe you should consider hosting your own podcast.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm technically a Luddite, so I really don't kind of get it.
Oh, fair enough.
I'd have to do a crash course.
I mean, we just do it because we just love talking about these subjects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, invite me back anytime.
We will. We will.
We'll be happy to.
I will make the point.
And I will invite you back as soon as the sequel to 096 comes out as well.
I think you'll have to wait quite a while. But
yes.
Well, thank you again. I really appreciate the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure once again.
Yeah.
I promise I'm not always this much of a kiss ass. It's just that this has been a real it's been a real treat. So
it's been a real good learning experience as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, stay in touch. Stay in touch. Let me know how your careers are progressing.
Will do.
And Josh in school.
Yes.
Well, hopefully everything goes well in uni.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Just to uni at the minute.
Okay. Well, if you have any thoughts or questions or problems, feel free to give me a call or an email.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Okay. I know learning acting is hard.
Yeah. I mean, having to go through different learning techniques from past practitioners Stanislavski and all that, having to rehearse in techniques that you've never done before and sort of picking which ones you like best.
Well, you know what? I have the time now, so both of you don't feel you're imposing for a question.
Yeah.
Or a chat.
Brilliant.
Seriously.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
it
much.
does.
Oh my God. Now, just call me.
Will do.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, you're very full of wisdom. I feel like I could call you about anything.
Oh God. I would temper that, but seriously, you're both very charming, and I teach as well, so give me a call.
Will do.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you. See you soon, I suppose.
Email me your link to your podcast.
Yeah,
Will do,
I'll send it
yeah.
over to Joe, and then he can send it to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And put in a plug for Chris Pretzka for his film.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And yeah, because
Will
he
do.
makes money off the links.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The thing is, with our podcasts, we actually put almost, I guess you could call it wild track or ambience in the background, don't we, Josh?
Yeah.
Last time we had sort of like fields with crickets. I mean, what would you suggest that we should? It just makes them a bit more unique, I think.
It just makes it more relaxing though, because I mean I'm listening to it as we speak because obviously I'm recording it, but
yeah,
it's just really relaxing to hear like nighttime ambience and then the occasional sort of car going past.
Wait, have you actually got audio playing in the background now?
Yeah, because that's how I record it. I don't do it in editing anymore. I do it whilst we're recording.
Oh, fair enough. I was just about to ask James if he had any recommendations as to what sort of ambience we should put in the background for this one, but apparently you've already done it.
Maybe a cozy fireplace.
Yeah,
I might add a campfire into this one.
do it, Josh.
Cozy fireplace.
Yeah.
We're in our library talking.
Yeah.
As opposed to crickets. Because I've been in shows where at the end, all I've heard were crickets.
Yes, yes.
No applause, crickets.
We had crickets in the background with our interview for Sean Bayshue, and I'm worried that maybe if he listened to it afterwards, he might have thought we were being rude to him or something.
That's such an editorial comment.
Yeah.
Crickets, you boring bastard.
It was just meant to be calming, like a summer's night.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Thank you once again.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you again.
I think the last 5 minutes of this podcast has just been almost thank yous.
Yeah, it's just been
non-stop.
thank yous constantly.
I know, but I wanted to thank you, so there you go.
And we've
You
wanted
can
to thank
edit
you.
that
So.
out. Edit it out.
Nah.
Just bleep it constantly. Just have them swear constantly.
All right, take care, guys.
Will do. You
See
too.
you soon.